Even after her public comeback, Sinach's journey was far from over. Behind the scenes, she was still navigating the delicate balance between her ministry, her personal pain, and her marriage. Sources close to the family revealed that she and Pastor Joseph had quietly begun counseling sessions with a respected Christian therapist in Lagos. There were no public announcements, no media coverage, just a private commitment to heal and rebuild what fame had tested. Despite the rumors swirling online, Sinach remained focused. She refused to let her personal struggles define her ministry. Every worship session, every song she released carried not just music but a message that faith could survive even the deepest storm. Fans noticed the change. Her voice sounded fuller, richer, more vulnerable. Each note carried the weight of someone who had walked through fire and come out stronger on the other side. It was during this season that Sinach introduced Faith in the Fire, her virtual worship series designed for people facing heartbreak, loss, and betrayal. Each episode combined worship, testimonies, and stories of resilience. Remarkably, she never spoke of her own circumstances. Instead, she let her ministry speak for her. Viewers around the world tuned in, saying the series brought them hope and courage to face their own storms. While the world saw her strength, those close to her knew the work inside her heart was ongoing. She was still processing, still praying, still learning how to forgive and restore. Even as she poured herself into her ministry, she kept reconnecting with Joseph in small, meaningful ways, late-night conversations, shared prayers, and slowly rebuilding the intimacy that fame had strained. Then came her next bold move, the announcement of her album, Beauty for Ashes. Unlike any project before, this album was deeply personal. Every track reflected her journey from pain to healing. Fans connected instantly. One song, Still I Rise, became an anthem for anyone who had felt broken but refused to be defeated. The lyrics spoke not of perfection, but of resilience, mercy, and faith. As the album gained attention, Sinach's ministry grew even stronger. Churches, youth groups, and schools began using her music to teach lessons about perseverance and forgiveness. Her story became a beacon, a reminder that faith isn't about a flawless life, but about rising after every fall. Even pastors who had once avoided discussing the scandal now referenced her journey as a model of grace, honesty, and courage. Yet Sinach's greatest strength remained her humility. She never sought the spotlight for her personal life. Instead, she channeled her experience into worship, letting the music itself communicate her testimony. Her performances were no longer just concerts. They were experiences of shared hope and healing. Each time she sang Waymaker, audiences felt the difference. It was no longer just a song, but a declaration that God could make a way even when the road seemed impossible. And then, something remarkable happened. Months after the public scandal, Pastor Joseph appeared at one of her live recordings. Standing quietly in the crowd, hands lifted in worship, he was a living testament to forgiveness and reconciliation. The moment went viral, proving that even fractured relationships could find restoration with faith and patience. Through it all, Sinach showed the world what true worship looks like, not just singing, but living faith, resilience, and grace. Her story became a reminder. Even in the midst of public scrutiny, personal heartbreak, and private struggles, it's possible to rise, heal, and transform pain into purpose. At 56, gospel singer Sinach, the powerhouse behind hits like Waymaker, never imagined her name would become the center of such rumors, whispers, and heartbreak. For years, she was celebrated as the voice that brought hope to millions. Her music filled churches, hospitals, and homes across the globe. But life had a twist in store that no one could have predicted. After months of complete silence, her husband finally spoke, and what he revealed sent shockwaves through the gospel community. Sinach had always been admired not just for her incredible voice, but for her unwavering faith. Songs like Waymaker, I Know Who I Am, and The Name of Jesus had become global anthems. For more than 20 years, she had performed on stages across continents, spreading hope with every note. Her joy, her faith, her light, everyone saw it. But behind the scenes, a quiet storm was brewing. It started with small changes. Pictures with her husband, Pastor Joseph Egbu, became fewer. The couple who once shared their lives online with warmth and love now seemed distant. Some assumed it was busyness. Others whispered that something was wrong. And then the distance became impossible to ignore. Publicly, they smiled when necessary, performed when expected. But something had shifted. For months, silence ruled and curiosity grew. Fans wondered, was there tension between them? Was fame taking its toll? Or was it something deeper, something spiritual? Finally, Pastor Joseph broke his silence. And when he spoke, it wasn't anger or blame. It was raw, honest pain. He opened up about the struggles of being married to someone whose life was always in the spotlight. He admitted that as Sinach's ministry grew, he felt increasingly alone. While the world celebrated her success, their marriage quietly faltered behind closed doors. But it wasn't jealousy or resentment he shared. It was the unseen battles most people never talk about. He confessed mistakes, acknowledged the growing distance between them, and admitted that faith sometimes felt heavy rather than comforting. His words shook the gospel world. People didn't know whether to feel sympathy, confusion, or anger. Yet there was something profoundly real in his honesty. One line captured hearts instantly. Ministry can take more from you than it gives back if you forget who you are at home. Overnight, it went viral. Some praised his courage. Others criticized him for airing private matters. Either way, the perfect image of Sinach and Joseph began to crack. Throughout it all, Sinach remained silent. No statements, no interviews, nothing. Her silence spoke louder than words. Fans speculated endlessly. Was she heartbroken, angry, or quietly seeking strength? Behind the calm surface, she was deeply wounded. Not only by her husband's confession, but by how it had gone public before she was ready. For someone who had always protected her personal life, it felt like betrayal. In response, Sinach withdrew temporarily. She canceled some ministry trips and stayed out of the public eye. People thought she was hiding, but those close to her knew she was praying, reflecting, and seeking wisdom before speaking. Weeks passed and the world waited. Then one quiet Sunday morning she spoke, not with words but through worship. A simple Instagram video showed her playing piano and singing softly. Her caption read only 3 words, "He is still faithful." The response was overwhelming. Thousands commented, cried, prayed, and shared her post. No drama, no anger, just faith. Her worship became a powerful answer, a reminder of why millions loved her. Even as praise poured in, insiders revealed the pain behind the scenes. She felt blindsided by her husband's confession. Yet she chose patience, waiting on God rather than reacting impulsively. Her quiet strength earned her admiration and a new reputation, a woman of quiet power. Eventually, Sinach returned publicly, not at a major concert, but at a small worship gathering in Abuja. Dressed simply in white, she radiated calm and peace. Taking the microphone, she did not address the scandal. Instead, she shared a profound message. Sometimes God allows the storm not to destroy you, but to reveal who you truly are. And when you worship in the middle of your pain, that's when you see His glory the most. Her words struck deeply. Clips of her speech and worship went viral. That night, singing Waymaker, her voice carried a new depth, born from heartbreak and healing. Her song was no longer just music. It was a testimony. Behind the scenes, she continued struggling privately. Friends revealed she prayed for clarity about her marriage and future. She resisted stepping away from ministry, saying the world needed to see real faith in action. She wasn't just singing worship, she was living it. Then came a bold move. Sinach launched a new project, Faith in the Fire. It wasn't another concert. It was a movement, designed for those facing heartbreak, betrayal, and loss. It offered virtual worship, testimonies, and stories of survival. Remarkably, she never mentioned her own situation. Instead, she focused entirely on helping others heal. Her quiet strength stunned fans and critics alike. Each episode of Faith in the Fire went viral. People from around the globe tuned in, finding hope in her words. Pastors, gospel artists, and celebrities applauded her courage. Meanwhile, she and Joseph began attending private counseling with a respected Christian therapist in Lagos. Slowly, privately, they worked on rebuilding their marriage. No announcements, no publicity, just quiet effort. As Sinach's public ministry flourished, her private journey continued. She shared new music online, songs filled with raw emotion, tears, and prayer. Her voice carried the weight of her experience, connecting with listeners in ways it never had before. Gradually, she began including Joseph again in her ministry, not pretending perfection, but embracing forgiveness and growth. Rumors persisted, but her focus never wavered. Fans noticed a profound change. Her worship was deeper, her singing more powerful, infused with real-life experience. Even pastors who had stayed silent began praising her courage. Sinach had turned controversy into testimony. Then she revealed her next project, an album titled Beauty for Ashes. It wasn't just music. It was her declaration that God can create beauty from brokenness. The songs were confessions, prayers, and triumphs transformed into melody. One song, Still I Rise, became an instant hit. They thought the fire would burn me, but I came out shining brighter. His mercy rewrote my story, and I'm standing stronger than ever. The album dominated gospel charts and reminded people of the power of honesty and grace. Pastors used her story in sermons to teach resilience. Sinach never hid her pain. She faced it, sang through it, and turned it into something divine. Even during her album tour, she never spoke publicly about her husband or the scandal. She focused solely on worship, teaching audiences. We all have stories, but not every story ends in shame. Some stories end in glory. Audiences traveled from across the world to hear her perform. Her songs, especially Waymaker, were no longer just songs. They were symbols of survival. Months later, Joseph attended a live recording quietly, hands raised in worship. The moment went viral, a sign of forgiveness and healing in action. Sinach's story, which began with scandal and whispers, ended in strength and purpose. Her marriage, tested but not broken, became a lesson in mercy and patience. Her faith, though shaken, became stronger. She reminded the world that being a believer doesn't mean perfection. It means choosing faith when everything falls apart. Her message spread far beyond music. Churches, youth groups, and schools used her songs to teach forgiveness and resilience. In one of her last interviews of the year, she reflected, "I realize that God never wastes pain. Every tear, every disappointment, it all becomes part of your purpose. From heartbreak to healing, from silence to worship, from controversy to calling, Sinach turned her test into a testimony. She became more than a gospel singer. She became a living example of faith in motion. Her life proved that even when the fire burns, faith can make you rise from the ashes. And her story taught the world that the greatest power of worship isn't in the music, but in the courage to praise even when your heart is breaking, a ministry in itself.